right. Yay! All right. So, for those of you who don't know, as I said, I'm Audrey. I am a junior. I go to Skyline High School. You might have seen me. I'm the one who dances way too much whenever we do worship. And I'm also, that one's Hannah's older sister. But today I want to talk about this the golden rule. Now, I think we all know what the golden rule is. Like, treat others the way you want to be treated. And this is kind of ingrained in our heads. It's in every single kid show I remember. And it's in our teachers tell us this, our parental figures tell us this, and the Bible tells us this rule. And it's in Matthew chapter 22, verses 37 through 41, and I feel like it describes this the best way. And so, if you guys want to, you can read along this passage as I talk about it. But so a dude went up to Jesus and he was like, "Hey, Jesus, what is the most important commandments? Because we know you gave us the 10 commandments, and they're all important. What are the most important?" And this is what the Bible says. Jesus replied, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment." But then he says, "A second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. The entire law and all the demands of the prophets are based on these two commandments." Wow. So, love your God and love your neighbor is basically what makes up why everything else is in the Bible. It's based on these two things. And it's so small. It's literally 6 words in total. Love your God and love your neighbor. 6 words total, and the entire Bible is based on that. And now you're like, okay, why necessarily do I need to love my neighbor? I was like, sure, I've heard it, but man, this kid in my class is just so annoying, right? Well, the way I see it is we're all children of God. As it says in Genesis 1:31, God looked over all he had made, and he saw that it was very good. He made all of us uniquely and individually. We are all his children, and he thinks we're good. He loves us. He respects us. And he wants to show that he loves his kids. And so he wants his kids to love him back. But he also wants them to love each other so they feel loved and they can feel that love. And so that's why we need to love our neighbor. But man, it could be hard, right? It is hard to love your neighbor. It sounds really easy, but that means people you dislike. And that in particular means people we disagree with, people with different beliefs. I believe that people with different beliefs are some of the hardest people to love. Because we as humans like to be right. We like to be like, I know everything and you can't tell me otherwise. And that is way not true. But when people believe for things of us, huge conflicts come from that. If we look at the news, we have different political parties. They believe different things, which causes people to use inappropriate language towards the other, purposely try to do things to sabotage other people in different campaigns, and be incredibly rude to people with different beliefs, aka not loving them. People of different religions, we tend to, we tend to sometimes struggle to accept people with different religions as people and love them the way we love other Christians. Even in the own Christian church, my family, my parents were raised in the Catholic Church, and they got baptized by having water poured over them, and they went to a new church. They tried to go to a Christian church, and they would not let them lead, which is something they were being called to do, because they were baptized a different way than they wanted. Which is not loving them, not letting people being able to grow their relationship with God just because you don't agree with the way water was poured over them is not showing love. And one example of this is I think many of you have heard of the LGBTQ plus community. Now, they have different beliefs than us, right? And this is the one which on media and stuff, which Christians are displayed as not showing love the most. We have kids being kicked out of their homes. We have parents disowning. We have people yelling at them, telling them they're going to go to hell. And we even, for suicide rates, we have so many of these kids are killing themselves. And because they don't feel loved, because they're struggling down a path, and instead of trying to help them and help them grow to find God and find love, we tend to tear them down. I remember one of the saddest conversations I've had in my life. I was with this boy. He was 11 years old. His parents were going through a divorce. His grandfather had just passed away, and we were at his memorial service, right? He was being bullied at school, but he was also a transgender gay boy, right? Okay. But he was going through a really tough time. He was hurting, and so I went, I'm like, hey, I'm praying for you. Just simple as that. It's okay, I'm praying for you. And his response was, don't waste your time. I've been told enough that God doesn't love me. I'm going to hell anyways. This kid was 11. If people were telling him he wasn't loved in such an early age, then if we aren't just treating these people with respect, even though we don't agree with them, then we're not loving them. We're not doing one of the big two things that the entirety of Christianity is pretty much based upon. What all those verses, all of those commandments, all of those stuff, a lot of them weigh on this. And when we disagree with people, we don't tend to love them the way we should. This is something I struggle with a lot. Like, you bet, like, when we're going in class debates, like, I'll be like, I go way too far into it. And so I struggle with that. And so I want to challenge you all to try to love your neighbor. Now, what that looks like could be, like, if they have different beliefs, just respect that. Be like, okay, you don't need to go into a 30-minute long tangent about why you're right and they're not. You know, just be respectful. If they wish to be called something, do it as long as it, go ahead and respect them as long as you're not sinning in the process. But just simple respect and simple love is such a huge thing that we don't show. I feel like we as humans struggle to show a lot. I challenge you all to try and find someone you disagree with and try to show them respect and love this week.